if you want to learn, laugh, love, and leave. And I don't care about the first three. What order you do those in. I would like for you all to leave last, though. Okay, so make sure we leave last. That is important. Now, here's what I need some help with. Do I have permission to speak to you all like family? Yes or yes? Yes. Okay. Are you sure? Because I know some of your families are kind of like mine, like, eh. So do I really have permission to speak to you like family? Yes or yes? Yes. Okay, thank you all for that. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to remember how to be an expert. Does that sound good? All right, so here's the entire goal that we have for today. It's for us to learn how to attract opportunities so we can increase our revenue by doing less. Are we okay with those three things? All right. Now, here's what I also need to do first. I was taught by my dad. He was a Navy man, a sailor. And so he always said, give respect and honor where respect and honor are due. So I would like to acknowledge a few groups. If you are a military veteran, active service personnel, reservist, or first responder, would you please raise your hand high? Just raise it high. Raise it really, really high. Raise it high. Wait. No. Not yet. Okay, here we go. So if you are in any of those categories, raise your hands high, because I believe there's this thing called a standing ovation that certain people in our lives deserve. And these people who have allowed us to do this thing on this day that we're doing today, I believe that our military vets, active service, reservists, and first responders deserve a standing ovation. So if you all would do me a favor and ignore Karen for one moment and just stand up. If you are not in those classes, I need everyone, if you're physically able to stand up, please. And could we give those individuals a standing ovation? More. Awesome. Okay, that's enough. We only have 50 minutes because we want to get out here early and on time. Now, Karen, if you are the family member, loved one of a military vet, active service personnel, a reservist, or first responder, would you please raise your hand? Raise your hand high, and let's just give them a regular applause. You all can thank Karen Carr for that later, by the way. But here's why we do things differently. Because, one, I mentioned I'm the son of a Navy man. I understand what it's like to have your loved one do this thing, this scary thing. But I also know that there are levels, as Meek Mill would say, right? So there are levels to this thing. And as experts, part of your job is to differentiate levels, acknowledge, but know where to invest your time, energy, and effort. All right? So do we believe those that participated versus those who supported might have had a different level of commitment? And so that's why I want to make sure that we give respect and honor where it's due on the front end, but then also I knew, because we've done this a couple of times, what to expect. So as we go through this thing, there are going to be a few times when you already know what to do to be an expert. We just have to be, as Jim Rohn said, be reminded more than we need to be instructed. All right. So speaking of honor and respect, I have two lovely, beautiful, amazing ladies here with me. One of them is going to be my very patient and tolerant wife, Joanna. Would you just wave? Well, you know, stand up. You look so good, girl. Stand up so everybody can look at you. That's my wife. Oh, okay. And the next person that's in the room, this is her first time ever hearing me present. It is my mother, Patricia. So, Mom, stand up, Mama. Stand up. Okay. Wait. Oh, okay, that's it. Hey, whoa. Hold on. All she did was get on a plane, okay? She didn't do that much. Okay, so go ahead and have a seat. So here's what I will say. My mom is going to be signing autographs out in the hallway afterwards, okay? And here's what's at stake for all of us in the room. Well, for me, is to decide whether or not I'm going to be included in the wheel or not. All right, so that's what's here. If you all get up and see her walk out of the room during my presentation, it's because she has a really small bladder. That's the only reason. It's not because this sucks. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at going from A to Z, right? Because in this thing that we call real estate in life, people have options. People have choices. If you look in our industry right now, it might look like we are just a real estate agent, right? It might look like this thing. There are so many choices. We are seen as commodities, but would you all agree that it's much better to be the than a, right? And so now we're going to see, how do we manage this road? How do we travel this road so that we are no longer an option, but the only preferred choice in our marketplaces? The good news and bad news is that this is not the Matrix. And as much as I resemble Lawrence Fishburne, I am not Morpheus. I am not going to ask you to choose the red or blue pill. What I do want us to understand starting out is making sure we have a clear understanding, clear definition of some of the words. A, not any particular. Everyone say ouch. Ouch. Now, can I tell you all, many of us are in this land right now. We're in the land of A. Now, only A. You all don't fill in any other words or letters behind that, David, okay? Don't do that. But if we're being honest, and if I can speak to you like family, you have been a pretty good real estate agent. You've been a realtor. You have not joined the yet. And here's what it looks like to be a real estate professional, a real estate agent in this marketplace. At times, have you all ever felt like you were lost in the herd? Like you were just one of those trying to figure out, how do we differentiate ourselves? But here's what the is. And it's our goal, it's my goal to help us be reminded that we can be the. Everyone say the. Used to mark a noun as indicating the best known. How many of you would love to be the best known? How many of you would love to increase your revenue? How many of you would like to do all of that while doing less? Absolutely. This is our job right here. And yes, I purposely chose brown penguins, people, okay? I know what you're thinking, right? So how do we position ourselves to go from being one of many, A, to the? If you can position yourself as this bright, colorful penguin here, life is easier. Referrals are coming in. Success, revenue is going to be attracted to you. How many of you, even if you were colorblind, could we still pick out the one that was different in this photo? And so that's our job, to walk through this thing and figure out how we become that person. I forgot to tell you all that, well, first, let me ask, can everyone understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? All right, so, see, now here's why I ask. I don't want to make any assumptions. I don't know if you all can tell, but English is my second language, right? And some of you are like, man, that's pretty good. Now, here's the problem. I don't have a first language, all right? And so, well, I technically do, but Alabamanese is not identified as a language. I was born and raised in Alabama, and as you all see, that is not my cousin that I'm married to, okay? Some of you will get it tomorrow. All right, what did he mean? So here's our goal. Our goal is to be a person who has comprehensive and authoritative knowledge of a skill in a particular area. Now, how many of you are reading this definition of expert and you're saying, yeah, that's me? How many of you are reading that definition and be like, let me take a picture of that, see if I can get there? Because here's what we need to understand. Unless you are an expert, unless you are the expert, we're replaceable. Unless you are the person to go to, you're easily unemployable. Some of us come to this Sell-A-Bration 2025 right now in a land of unemployment. We don't have listings, we don't have buyers. And that's an okay place to be right now. It's not okay to be there tomorrow. It's not okay to be there a week or month from now. So we want to encourage us in that. So here's what it looks like to be the expert. First, how many of you sat in and heard Karen Carr talk about don't try to be everything to everyone? Karen, raise your hand. I mentioned your name for a good thing. Now, there we go. Okay. Sheesh. How often is it we as realtors, when we're not supposed to speak, we're always talking, but then when you ask for participation, you sit there like, uh-oh, I already got in trouble once. So here's what it looks like to be the. When you are the expert, we're going to have to do this thing calling identify our what? Niche. So you could say niche. How many of you say niche? Y'all are fancy, but here's why I say niche, because my mentor told me that niches bring riches. So I want you all to finish this one for me. Niches bring... Yeah. All of a sudden you don't sound so intelligent, do you? Okay, so we have to identify what area do we want to have authoritative knowledge or be skilled in a particular area. Real estate is not a particular area. Can I get an amen? Amen. I'm probably going to get in trouble for that one later. I forgot. I can't say amen in here with realtors, right? Buddy. So now we have to choose our niche. Before you can realistically expect to be an expert, you have to niche down. Do you all know what your niche is? Do we have niches? Do you know what your job is? Well, I'm going to help you really quickly. So there are 5 questions. We're going to answer 5 questions, and we're going to use 4 things to do it. 5 questions, 4 things. We keep it really simple. I get to hang out with kindergarten through 5th grade kids on the weekend, and I've learned that realtors and kindergartners are exactly the same. Your underwear is just bigger. That's all, right? That's it. So we're going to answer 5 questions, and you need to be able to answer these 5 questions. If you can answer these 5 questions, you are going to be positioned to be an expert. The first one is, what do you do? How many of you have an intelligent, concise answer to what do you do? And so as we go through the rest of our time together, we're going to look at different ways to answer these 5 questions, but there are only 5 questions. What do you do? Number 2, what makes you credible? And it can't be because you're honest. We're in a room full of liars that's going to say they're all honest, right? Are you honest? Absolutely. So what do you do? What makes you credible? The third one is, how do you get paid? Now, the answer to that question today might be different than the answer was in July of last year. But we have to know, what do we do? What makes us credible? How do we get paid? Question number 4 that we want to answer in this road, in this journey to be an expert is, are you liked, known, and trusted in your industry? I know you all look around here and you see a room full of competitors and sharks. But if we don't like you, know you, and trust you, we can make your businesses living hells. And not intentionally. It's just that we in this room, we're going to rise to the top, and then you're going to fall off by the wayside. So question number 4, are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? And then the final question that we're going to answer on our road and journey to being the expert is, what else do you bring to the relationship or the transaction? Because just selling a home isn't good enough anymore. Just, hey, I have these vendors, I have this list, or I'm going to put it in the MLS, or I'm going to do an open house. Yeah, but what else do you bring to the relationship or the transaction? If we can answer that question, then those 5 questions, then we go to a position like we see right here. This is where we all of a sudden have influence. Would you all say influence? So here's why we're talking about influence, because influence is the bottom foundation to us becoming the expert. How many of you have influence with your family? Now, it might not be, here's what I'm going to tell you. All of you have influence with your family. All of you have influence with your kids, with your clients, with your peers. It might not be the type of influence that you want. So what we have to do is we want to position ourselves to have positive influence. Say positive influence. The more positive influence we have, that's going to equal success. If you look at the individuals, the realtors, the business owners in your lives that you see as the expert, they have a great level of influence. That's where it starts. And not for everyone, they have a very specific niche that they have chosen intentionally to influence positively. We're going to have success. And once we go there, then we'll be able to be the expert of choice, the go-to person. So really quickly, I want you all to just think in your head. Some of you have been talking to yourselves the whole time, like, what is this guy going to really share with me that is going to be impactful? Here's what I want you to do. If you don't write anything else down, I want you to answer that very first question concisely by end of day. Well, you all are going to drink after this. You're going to drink tomorrow. You all might fly back. So end of day Friday. Okay, end of day Friday, after you have gotten sober-ish, right? Some of you are still going to be recovering. Answer the question, what do I do? Here's my answer to this question. I professionally market single-family waterfront homes to the world and get them sold. That's it. I professionally market single-family waterfront homes to the world and get them sold. That's so clear that my 5-year-old kindergartners on the weekend, they can say, you know, Pastor Neal, he professionally markets single-family homes to the world and get them sold, and they know what that means. Some of us are so smart that we're confusing the very people that we want to be perceived as experts with. And so here's what happens. There are two ways. There are easy ways, and then there's the realtor way of doing things. And that is going to be the hard way. So many of us, and I say us because I would love for you all said I could speak to you like family. Is that still yes? I want to be that uncle. I would love to be Uncle Neal, right? And here's the uncle I want to be. I want to be that uncle that when there is an event, a family function, in my neighborhood, we call them family reunions. So I want to be the uncle that shows up at the family reunion and the nieces and nephews get really excited, but the parents are like, oh my God, he showed up. And here's why I want to be that uncle. Because some of you in your lives, you have a mom or dad in real estate and you've become deaf to what they're telling you. You've become deaf to the example that they've set for you. So your business, your life, after listening to mom and dad in real estate, looks like this. What I want to do, I want to be that uncle that's going to come in and maybe tell you something that you need to hear, but it might be communicated in just a slightly different way. And for some of you, you might have a simpler way of understanding. Maybe you were the part of the class that made the top half possible with me, right? So maybe you think a little bit slower and all you can do is say, hey, I just need to know 5 answers to questions, execute those very well for one specific niche. And if I do that, I believe I can be pretty good. So here's what we know. How many of you love working with the best? How many of you love working with the best? Hands down. How many of you love lackluster, insufficient, poor service? So let me ask, why would we give what we wouldn't buy? Right? Why would we position ourselves to say or do what we would not willingly part with our time, energy, effort, or money? Because here's the truth about what we're doing right now in this time in 2025. Clients want to work with the best. Customers, prospects, they want to work with the best. And oftentimes they choose the best in whatever view, whatever their definition of the best is. Would you all agree, yes or yes? Now, they might think the best is an inferior solution because we have not done a great job communicating what the best should be. Maybe they're choosing the best and they really are choosing the best and it's just not us. And if that's the place, here's what I would tell you. We are in a position, we are capable, we have these skills, the qualities, and the talent to move up to become the best. And here's why. This is one of the best examples or best piece of advice I've ever received was to study to show yourself approved. How many of you study consistently to show yourself approved in this industry? Now, if on the inside you didn't raise your hand, maybe you said, I want to be the best, but I haven't put the work in. I'm going to need you all to hold a mirror up in front of you today, right? Because if we really want the rewards, we're going to have to do the work and the study. Some fantastic resources. You all, how many have already learned way more over the past day, unless you were in the pre-conference sessions, in the past few hours than you could possibly implement in the next 3 months? Here's what I'm going to ask you all to do. Find one thing, even if it's not from today, even if it's not from me. Please find one thing and implement it in the next 24 hours. We know if you don't do something in the next 24 hours, you're going to do nothing. So implement something in the next 24 hours. And so here's what I'm going to ask you all to do with those 4 things. How many questions do we have to answer? Oh, I lied. This is a fast class. At least this half of the room is. This half of the room. Oh, my mom and wife. I'm sorry, this half of the room. This half of the room. Okay, we're going to back that up. Okay, at least this half of the room is the fast half of the class. Thank you so much. So we have how many questions? And we're just going to do 4 things with those 5 questions to make sure that we are experts. First, there are 4 R's in this thing called life and business and real estate that you must master. The first R is you must always be ready. Are you ready right now to do a marketing consultation for a seller or a buyer consultation for a buyer? Yes. Now, when you say yes, I want you to understand being able to do one and being ready to do one are not the same things. So I need us to always be ready. If you're in Panera Bread, if you're at Whole Foods, let me be serious. If you're at Taco Bell, okay, and someone comes up to you and they say, hey man, I see you wearing this blue shirt with an R, something about a realtor. You're a realtor, right? How many of you would get stuck on the word realtor and miss an opportunity? Let me tell you, when they open the conversation, just roll with it, people, roll with it. Kindergarten through 5th grader, they're not going to ask, is that the correct pronunciation? What they're going to say is, are you ready to sign? So, first one, always be ready. Number 2, we must be resourceful. Part of being ready is being resourceful. We are here right now in Nashville, Tennessee. How many of you have the resources in place at this very moment? If I ask for a market update report in Davidson County, even if this is not your marketplace, can you provide that to me in the next 3 minutes? Yes. Where are we going? Ooh, RPR. This is the fast half of the room right here. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're doomed to repeat them, okay? Hey, so everyone over there, y'all understand why I have to do this, right? Okay. Help me out. Okay, so we're going to use resources like RPR, like our state associations, like our local associations to help us be resourceful. If you are ready, if you are resourceful, this third one is one that we have gotten better acquainted with over the last 4 years. That is going to be resilient. If you are ready and resourceful, but if you aren't resilient, may I lovingly say, as Uncle Neal to all of my nieces and nephews, this is not the place for you right now. It is hard to do this thing. How many of you know that selling real estate at times can be challenging? How many of you know that it's darn near impossible to sell real estate to people who don't have money? Now that's hard. That's when we're really going to have to be resilient, right? So I want to ask you all, how prepared are you to be resilient today? Because we know that the experts, they're going to be ready, they're going to be resourceful, but they also are going to be resilient. And the last R that we're going to answer with those 5 questions are, you must be remembered. How many of you are being remembered for the right reasons, right? Not for what went on IG or whatever last night on Broadway. How many of us are positioned to be, first of all, I love your energy. You traveling with my family now, niece. You going with us right here. Because everything I say, I don't know if it's whatever she did last night or what she's thinking about or what I said, but she's just got the giggles over here. So how many of us are positioned to be remembered for the right things with our sphere of influence, with those that we look to serve? Now, here's what, now that we've answered those 5 questions and 4 things, you all have everything you need. You all can fall asleep or you can leave right now. But we are going to expound upon this just a little bit. Here's your job. Your job is to be like our fella right here. Your job is to be a rock star. How many of you would consider yourselves rock stars? There's not nearly enough participants. So check this out. So here's my question. If not, why not? Some of you thought, hey, if I raise my hand, he's going to ask me to do something crazy. So if you aren't perceived as a rock star, why not? Here's what I am willing to bet. How many of you think that you're really great at what you do for a living? How many of you think that your clients are better working with you than someone else? Why are you afraid to say that out loud? So I heard the answer humble. So I am a humble person. You can't tell by the way I dress and the way I talk. But once you get to know me, right? I mean, just ask me. I'll tell you how humble I am. So here's what I will say to each and every one of you in the audience. If you know that you're good at what you do, if you believe that your clients, customers, and prospects would be better served with you than some of the knuckleheads in our industry right now, could I tell you that you're robbing them, yourself, and your future by not offering your services to them, by not being in the front, by not having a spotlight on you because of the service that you provide? If you are not doing that, if you aren't playing all out, if you aren't playing big, you're doing no one any favors. Here's our job. Here's how we go about being an expert. 5 questions, 4 R's. 1, we must create raving fans. How many of you have raving fans in your business right now? All right, so here's what I mean. When we say raving fans, do you have people that would walk into a room full of opportunities and mention your name? If you do, are you intentionally going before them and reminding them, hey, I appreciate you? Because here's what I've learned about experts. Experts understand that it's not so much about them as it is about what they do for others and how they make others feel. So some of you are fantastic at selling real estate. You just forgot that it's not about our numbers, that it's not about our sales volume, that it's not about the group or the club that we're in, that it really is about them. If you don't have a large number of referral business, a large amount of referral business, dare I say that you're not as good as you think you are. And here's why I say that. As Walt Disney said, you want to make them feel, you want to be so good that they want to come again and bring their friends. How much referral and repeat business are we getting? That's going to be how we tell if we really have raving fans. One way that we might do that is during the pre-buyer consultation or the pre-sales consultation. Anyone here using pre-buyer books or pre-marketing books? So at the end, when you all are getting my mom's autographs, I have a couple of examples of my pre-listing book, my pre-marketing book. So I make sure that every one of my clients or customers, before I have a consultation with them, my courier, Uber, is going to deliver this to them in a nice box from Michael's, just for them to know what to expect in the process. If I come through and document the process for them and tell them how I work with my clients and customers and what I do and how I professionally market single family waterfront homes to the world and get them sold, guess what they're saying? He's probably done this before. I want an expert. So much so that when my colleagues, I like to call them my co-opetition, when they walk into a home and they see my marketing book on the counter, it's game over. There's nothing like your competitor, your friend, leaving a marketing consultation saying, Neal, you got it. I'm like, got what? We were just over there. We saw your book. It's over. Right? So this is where we want to think, how do we create raving fans? How many of you are really great at selling real estate, but you're horrible at presenting marketing? And this is a bad thing for me to say, but you're horrible at selling yourself, right? So here's what I'm going to encourage you all to do. You owe it to us to sell yourself. And the way we're going to do that is everything that Karen Carr told us, we're going to use and we're going to implement by making ourselves celebrities. And guess what you need to make yourself a celebrity? Your phone, a GoPro camera. So here's what I will say. As an expert, if you are talking, you should be taping. Well, I'm going to say, well, taping sounds really, really old. I'm only 29, jeez. Some of you are like, yep, he should be taping. If you're talking, you should be recording. So it's not so much about you trying to create all of this stuff as much as it is just about you documenting. How many of you do the same process over and over and answer the same questions repetitive until you can answer it in your sleep? But you all aren't answering it in your sleep because you're not documenting it and putting it on YouTube for others to work while you are sleeping. So I'm going to share with you all one resource that I believe that every one of us should use at least once. And it's Canvas Rebel, CanvasRebel.com. CanvasRebel.com. And it is an online magazine, Canvas Rebel, now, I'm talking to this side of the room, okay, because they slow down on me. CanvasRebel.com. Here's why I want you all to go to Canvas Rebel. It is an online digital magazine specifically catered to creatives, professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs. They are going to send you in the upper Canvas Rebel, either upper right or upper left, is going to say submit nomination. And I know you all are humble people. right? We're honest liars, and we're going to say, I'm going to submit my friend or my office manager. Not until you submit your own name. You're just going to do a jot form. You're going to fill out your name, email address, not even a phone number, and then just social media, and they're going to reach out to you in about 2 to 3 weeks. They're going to do a beautiful feature on you. You don't have to worry about speaking to anyone. Some of you are like, hold on, I'm not, my face is for radio, okay? Here's why. Because we get to create the story that we tell. Canvas Rebel is going to reach out and say, oh, thank you so much for submitting. We would like for you to fill out this form, and you get to choose your questions, and you get to choose which lies you're going to tell in response to those questions. You're going to get to submit the photos and the imagery that you want associated with that, and then you're going to get to choose the link to your YouTube channel that's going to be really tailored to your area of expertise that we have chosen as a niche, because niches bring... Someone still said riches. Come on, buddy. Jeez. Because niches bring riches. So now we get to choose how we show up, and there's no one better at being an expert you than you. And so when I say going from A to Z, you all thought you were going to have to dress a certain way, or sound a certain way, or look, or do, or learn. You just have to be more of you. The power of your first impression. Right now in 2025, where's our first impression typically happening? Online. How many of you have done a digital impression audit in the past 3 months? Have you Googled yourself? And when I say Google yourself, I'm talking about from a private, well, when I say a private view window. Let me be clear, the incognito version, the reason you want to go to the incognito version is because it's not going to save your information. Some of you have Googled yourself and you've been like, man, I'm pretty good. Well, that's because you keep Googling yourself. It's skewed. So I would love for you all to search and see what the general public is saying about you. If I tell you all, listen, I'm a professional photographer, or I specialize in the luxury niche. I only work with high-end clientele. Everything I do is excellent. I understand that when I show up, that how my photos and the way I dress is going to impact whether or not I have a closing, and then I show you all this photo. Are you all going to believe anything I said? I mean, because here's what, I take all of my photos, every photo that is in my presentation, they are my personal, oh, wrong photo, my bad, okay. Do you all see what I'm saying? If we say that we are experts, if we say we are the best, but this is what we're showing our customers, clients, and prospects, it's our fault. Some of us are saying we're the best, and we don't know what the median days on market, list price, sales price ratio, month supply of inventory is in our own market. So therefore, when someone asks us a question about buying or selling in Savannah, we sit here and we say, hold on, what is Karen's YouTube channel? Let me see what she says, right? So we have to make sure that we are being authentic. And if we are authentic, if we're genuine, so I like to say in 2025 that people's BS meter is finely tuned. You all know what BS is, right? Bull stuff. Okay, bull stuff. Just making sure we're on the same page. And I hope that you understand that people's BS meter is finely tuned because yours is finely tuned, not because people keep telling you that you're full of BS. Okay? And so here's what we look at when we talk about from A to Z. How clear is your vision on being the expert, right? How clear are your goals? Do you have a plan on being an expert in your marketplace? Do you know the types of buyers coming in? Do you know why sellers are selling? We talk about RPR. How many of us are using RPR? We have been using them for our CMAs primarily, right? We might do some research. We're no longer going to do CMAs. CMAs died about 15 seconds ago. We're going to do POVs, and POVs are professionals' opinions of. Ooh, this is the smart room. I was getting some bad looks from them, baby. That's why I said that. This is a smart room. So professional opinions of value. Do we have any commercial realtors in the room? Anyone that do commercial? So if you are a resi specialist, if you want to be perceived as an expert to quickly identify your ideal client, or what I call my elite client, if I want to create an elite client persona, I'm going to go into my RPR. I'm going to use the reports. If you go to reports, but down at the bottom is going to be trade area report. Anyone here familiar with the trade area report? It's a commercial report. So if RPR, report, trade area report, you go to trade area report, you put in a zip code, neighborhood, city. Remember, our Uncle Ben told our cousin Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. Some of you watch way too much TV and movies, right? So we know that RPR is going to give us in that trade area report, it's going to, based on the zip code, city, or neighborhood that we put in there, it's going to give us what's called the top 3 tapestries or segments. It's going to give demographic information on age, marital status, income, how they vote, what their hobbies are. So now, as an expert, I'm only answering the questions that my ideal client cares about, that my elite client is asking. So for instance, I gave my personas names. So my personas are James and Julie Betterman. I know that in the 316 zip code where I work, I'm typically going to deal with a married couple between 52 and 64. They're going to have a net worth of almost 600 to 700,000. Home value is only going to be 460,000 in waterfront homes. Why am I going to know that 460,000 in waterfront homes? Why is that important to me? That lets me know they've owned the home for a very long time. They probably paid it off, and 86% of that zip code are homeowners. You all remember that thing called the inventory challenges we had during the pandemic? Neal didn't have those problems. Why not? Because I went to the 316 zip code with all of these individuals who had a lot of equity in their home, and then I answered the questions that they were asking. I didn't answer the question that I was asking. I wasn't saying, well, how do I find more inventory? I answered the question, and here's what the question was. What do we do now? What do we do with this scary thing called the pandemic with COVID? We're here in South Florida. How do I get to North Carolina, of course? How do I get to Georgia? How do I get to Alabama? Well, here's how you get there. There's this thing called equity that you have a lot of in your home, because you've paid it off. Here's what it's looking like. So I spent 2 years doing nothing but speaking to old white people online. I'm sorry, seasoned, relocation, right? So what? And so I want you to think about this. When you know what your vision and when you know what success looks like, we figure out the goal, the plan, and the action in between. Here's what it means. Someone asked, so Sean asked my mom today. So Sean Carpenter, always good to see you, love you, brother. So he asked my mom, he says, did you get Neal wearing the bow ties? And she was like, no, I didn't. And so I was like, yeah, she was surprised. She was like, no, he's always been kind of weird. But here's who got me wearing bow ties. Old white people. James and Julie Betterman. Why? Because I understand that if I show up in an environment to an opportunity, and if I don't look the part, if I haven't thought about knowing what my vision is and mapped out what success looks like, then I might be disqualified before I have an opportunity. And we heard Morris Morrison talk about those opportunities. So what I said was, how can I have them want to do business and want me to service them? Well, here's how. You all heard Morris say it. I just want to get in the air of either being perceived as their son or their grandson. Coming from Alabama, yes sir, yes ma'am, is easy for me. So guess what? I found that James and Julie Betterman back in Fort Lauderdale are not getting. They are not getting yes sir, yes ma'am from their kids. So guess who they get it from? Their adopted son, that's right. And so once we map this out, this is where we move. So when you see KPI, what are you all thinking when you see KPI? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I should have said wrong answers only. You all would have been absolutely correct. Key person of influence. Many of you know your key performance indicators, but you are not a key person of influence. We have been focused on the wrong thing for a long time. We're starting to be exposed because we've been focused on buying and selling real estate. And in the real estate industry, if you only focus on buying and selling real estate, you're going to lose. Here's why. Because there's going to be someone who's not as good as you, who's willing to do it less, that has more influence. So I need us, when we see KPI, I want you all thinking, how do I become an expert at gaining influence? How do I become better so that when the opportunity presents itself, yes, I'm ready? So many of you are probably some of the smartest, most well-connected, unemployed people I've met in my life. It feels like that, right? We know enough. We have the right vendors and back office. We just don't have enough business. We just aren't in front of the right people. That's because we're focusing on the wrong things. So if we answer the question, how do you become a key person of influence? Here's the answer. So first, if y'all have not read Daniel Priestley's book, Key Person of Influence, I encourage you all to get it. So Daniel Priestley, he is from, I think he's either English or British, so we're not going to hold that against him. But Key Person of Influence. Key Person of Influence is the name of the book. Daniel Priestley, I think that he does one of the best jobs at breaking it down step by step for how we can really go from where we are to where we want to be in a relatively short amount of time. And so we have to think first, influence, credibility, and then reach. Many of us have a large database. We have the reach, but we don't have the influence. Some of us have influence and credibility, but we don't have the reach. And unless we have all three legs of the tripod, then we are going to fall. So how do we gain influence? One, get really, really good at what you do. Can we do that? Yes or yes? Yes. Here's the hard part. You have to tell people that you're really good at what you do. Some of you are great realtors. Some of you are horrible at self-promotion. And your kids are upset with you. Your dog is upset because they're not eating the dog. They aren't eating the farmer's dog food. They're having to eat the processed stuff, right? Your banker is frustrated. In a couple of weeks, your accountant's going to be mad at you. Why? Because you're great at what you do. You're just horrible at telling people you're great at what you do. And that is a requirement. What's our first job in real estate? Besides keep our spouse happy. What's our first job in real estate? Lead generation. If you are not generating leads, if you don't have enough leads in your business right now, you will never get to the point of authority. And here's why. You're going to be focused on this deal, this conversation right now. You're never going to go back to actually having a vision and then mapping out a plan for success. Because the most challenging thing in being an authority is dealing with the bill that's already passed due. It's kind of hard to focus on being a key person of influence when you just broke. So we want to make sure that as we go through here, we generate leads, we convert leads, we have client ascension and then client retention. So lead generation is always our first goal as an expert. How good are you at generating leads? If we have influence, credibility, and reach, we should have a lead generation machine that makes everything else easier. Are you all with me? If we have enough lead generation and we have influence, credibility, and reach, our lead conversion should go up or down? Oh, good answer. Whew, got kind of nervous for a moment there. It should go up. What does client ascension looks like? Client ascension means that they tell their friends about you. And now we have that referral business. And then client retention means that we're going to have them come back and do business with us themselves. So if we can focus on that, here's what being an expert looks like. Being the expert means that when someone has a question, they come to you before they go to Google. They come to you before they ask their cousin who just got their license. I mean, she doesn't technically have her license. She told me she was going to take the class. But I mean, it's about the same thing, right? I mean, because she has access to the Google. So are your people coming to you? Are they asking you, hey, I've heard about this thing. I'm unsure of it. What should I care about? What questions do I ask? What do I need to do to build this thing in my life or in my business? And this is also the point where I have done a fantastic job of making sure that no one falls asleep. We have 15 minutes before we finish. Here's what I need to know. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns besides my hairstyle before we continue? Yes, ma'am.
You said trade something with RPR, and I didn't catch it.
Okay. In RPR, if you want to quickly, because I don't know about you all, but I do not have an unlimited research budget, right? My wife makes sure that my account is not set up that way. So my research and marketing budget, I have to use what smarter people do. So RPR, if you go under reports, and under reports we have the trade area report. It's going to say commercial report. Do not let that scare you. So it's a trade area report under there. You're going to type in your zip code, neighborhood, or city, and then you're just going to run that report. It's going to give you the top 3 demographics or tapestries. So my number 1 tapestry is going to be golden years. It's 0.3% of the U.S. population, but it's 33% of my 316 zip code. So I speak to the golden years and the silver and gold who make up 25%. So right there, I have almost 60% of my zip code who make over 150,000 that eat at Panera Bread with part of the Unlimited Sip Club. You all are with me. Who have read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Norman Vincent Peale, W. Clement Stone. So when I go to Panera Bread on 17th Avenue, I take my customized mug that says something about real estate. I make sure I have my copy of Think and Grow Rich on the table with me. Why? Because they have to like me. I'm the son they wish they had. I'm the reason they kept trying, then just gave up. And so now, because of RPR reports, trade area report, I know exactly what they're asking. I know their hobbies. There is a disease going around, or maybe I should call it a virus. It's called pickleball. Have you all heard of it? Woo! You all have seen that Michelob commercial where they be just smashing the young kids and everything? So my wife and I, we're pickleballers or picklers or whatever you want to call it. And it's not because I'm good. It's because I know that my clientele, my ideal client, I know where to find them. And once they whoop me on the court, now I'm much more relatable. I say, hey, I'm horrible at this, but guess what I'm really great at? At professionally marketing single-family waterfront homes to the world and getting them sold. Right? Why? Because I know who they are. And the reason I know who they are is because in addition to other research, RPR has a lot of information. RPR, in that trade area report, it tells me which colors I'm going to use in my marketing. Here's why. Because if one area is heavy red on the voting and not blue, I'm losing my ego. Guess what I'm doing? We're putting everything in red. I would be dressed different if I'm in 316. That's all I'm going to say. Right? And so now we understand what that means. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Anything else? Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay, so here's what our job is in addition, because I did have to bring my notes here. And you all see, this is all it takes to be an expert. Wow. Some of you are surprised, right? You're like, man, I thought it was going to be harder than that, but I guess I should consider the source. This is it. We heard, and so Karen, you were just easy fruit, right? Low-hanging fruit. But it's a good thing. Karen mentioned, don't overthink this thing. Some of you thought that you were going to come in here and get something earth-shattering. And you're going to say, man, this is the one idea that's better than everything Karen said earlier today. And now you're disappointed. But here's what I want you all to consider. If 2 sheets of paper, 5 questions, 4 R's. How many of you think that you can answer 5 questions intelligently? How many of you think that you can be ready to do business? How many of you know that you can be resourceful? That we can learn, well, we're probably much more resilient because we're still alive in 2025 than we even thought, right? And then we can be remembered for the right things. Guess what? You all have what it takes to be experts. We maybe haven't believed that it was possible until you're like, 2 sheets of paper, that's pretty good. So here's what the last thing. What are the 3 most important words in real estate? On the count of 3, go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, Okay, someone screaming location, location, location. How many of you ever have heard that location, location are the most important words in real estate, right? May I challenge that? I think there are 3 more important words in real estate, and that is exposure, exposure. Oh, we have one smart person in the room. Exposure. I've said it a number of times. It does not matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how good you are at this thing if no one knows that you're smart or you're not good, or that you're good. So I'm going to ask you all over the next, up until on Friday, ask, how can I maximize my exposure? I believe Canvas Rebel, I forgot to mention to you all that it's free. Right? They need the individuals, they need new articles all the time. I get nothing from it other than helping you all have a free, valuable resource just by filling that out. I'm sure some of you have already done that. Hopefully you have. So if you can't maximize your exposure, you will never be an expert. There are experts that are dumber than us in the room. Would you all agree? There are experts who lack the moral turpitude that we have. Would you all agree? Why? Because they have more exposure and they're willing to open their mouths. So here's what I'm going to say to you all. I always say something and I always get kind of iffy or funny if I should share it or not. But Richard said that I have to be me 100% of the time. So I'm going to listen to his bad advice. Some of you are like, Richard, here we go. So there is this thing. I start every presentation, every conversation the same way by honoring those who protect our freedoms and those who love those who protect our freedoms. But there's something I don't know when the last time you heard this was. I don't know if it was yesterday, today, a few weeks, months. Some of you look like it's been years. But I want to remind you all that if you're still here on this spinning orb that we call Earth, that you still have a purpose, right? That you are here for a purpose, that your work isn't done. I believe that if your work was done, you wouldn't be here, right? I believe that if you weren't as resilient as you are, then you wouldn't be here. So I want you all to believe in that. And then there are these dirty words. There are 3 dirty words that I'm going to say. I did mention that I'm the son of a Navy man, right? That he was a sailor. So talking like a sailor, I'm going to speak like a sailor really quickly. And this is at the end. Don't be looking at my mama. Why? He looking at my mama to see what she's going to say. Richard, I got the microphone, man, and that's why I saved this for the end. And so these 3 dirty words are, everyone take a deep breath in. Everyone exhale. So I'm going to talk to you all like my dad, the sailor, spoke to me. And that is, I love you. I don't know if you haven't heard that today, this week, this year, but I want to tell you as Uncle Neal to all of my nieces and nephews that I absolutely love you, that you're still here. And I have a challenge for you. If you all would do me a huge favor, there's this thing called unspoken gratitude. I don't think that's a real thing. I think that unspoken gratitude is a lie because it does not exist. Gratitude that is not communicated, love that is not communicated is not love. That's a form of hatred. So I need you all today. Now you can do this before you start drinking or before you continue drinking, whichever one it is. Tell someone today that needs to hear it. Someone that probably in your home soaking up all of your AC or if they have your Wi-Fi password, they definitely need to hear it. Tell them I love you. If we learned anything over the past 3 to 4 years, we've learned that I love yous too late. They carry a heavy burden, right? So in my last ask, I'm going to make sure that I ask you all, please make sure you communicate your love to someone that needs to hear it. Uncle Neal loves all of you. You all are invited to the family reunion. I will be sending out the invitations on February 31st of next year. If you all want to follow me, you can go to YouTube and just look up Neal Oates. And I spell it the proper way, Neal-Oates. That's going to be the fastest way. Or as my mom always brags about me, she said he's easy to find if you're looking for the best. Those are her words, not mine. I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best. Thank you all so much. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your celebration. Thank you all so much. Thank you, brother. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I'll tell you. I love you, bro.
Come on, sir.
You did a great job.
Thank you, sir, brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you.